All right, welcome back, y'all. Today we're gonna talk about three things that are helping, as well as three things that are hurting your inner peace. Now, some of it may be somewhat basic, maybe you already know, but let's just discuss it. You know what I mean, and talk a little deeply about it. That way we can possibly gain some new perspective. So, the first thing though, we're gonna actually start with the bottom half. We're gonna start with what's hurting, and then secondly, we'll talk about what's helping your inner peace. Okay. So what's hurting? Number one, first thing I want to talk about is negative music. I got frequency in parentheses here. So basically, a lot of people like to attribute negative music to the lyrics, but sometimes it can be just the instrumental. It can be the beat as well that can carry these kind of frequencies or tones that can shift our way of thinking. Um, of course, lyrics they play a role too. Um, just knowing that whatever type of music that you're currently listening to can affect your mental state is powerful. So you could be in the best mood ever, and you decide to play a sad song. Now you're gonna be feeling down for some reason. Um, Maybe you want to play like romantic R&B music. You might start thinking about past relationships or things, and everything kind of, as you can see, parallels. Of course, the biggest outlier is like aggressive music, whether that be like hip hop or rock. Um, they all trigger these emotions, right? So that's just something to be aware of. Number two, excessive media. So obviously social media plays a role, but the news is also something to consider, and it's good to be aware, but don't allow it to consume you. Essentially, um, in terms of what other people got going on in your circle, comparison is the thief of joy. You never know what someone's path truly looks like, and everyone's path requires something different for their own personal growth. So just always focus on what you got going on. That's really all that's important at the end of the day. Number three, poor diet. Um, Man, the food that you eat is so crazy. Like, I was actually thinking about this today as I was eating my lunch. Um, Yesterday I had something a little heavy around lunchtime, and it truly did change how I felt. It made me tired. It made me want to nap, and that actually threw off like the rest of my day. So I'm thinking to just start adjusting my meals to where it's smaller in the beginning of the day and then larger towards the end. So dinner would be my biggest meal. Um, Now, in terms of what you eat specifically, of course, that as well plays a major role. So, when I keep my small, minor meals in the beginning of the day to like fruits and vegetables, and things of that nature that are highly vibrational, um, these actually make you feel good. They give you the best energy. So, I think that's super important, to just be aware of in terms of how you approach each day, what you're eating, because what you eat is what ultimately you are, right? That's a super common phrase. So, but it's true. It's true. And number four, this is a bonus. I figured I just got to include it in the video since we're talking about this stuff. Is poor sleep. Some people will think like they need to sacrifice their sleep, in order to achieve their goals or whatever the case. Sleep is super important. It really is. That as well. How you prepare for the next day is vital. You know what I mean? So if you stay up all night, you're already kind of setting yourself up for failure, for tomorrow, because you're already gonna be a little groggy or less tired, as opposed to if you just got the right amount of sleep, and recharged like you needed to. You can make the analogy that our bodies are kind of like phones. They need that time to recharge, and if you're gonna start your body at 30-40%, it's not gonna be optimal. You know what I mean? It's not gonna be as productive. You're gonna feel weird. So these are just things to be mindful of that could be hurting your inner peace. Okay, that's four things right there. Now let's talk about three things that are helping. Okay, so some solutions, um, or just things that we can practice, to help us be more calm in our lives. You know what I mean? Now with peace, it's not an eternal feeling, right? We're humans. We're gonna struggle with our emotions. You know what I mean? We're gonna feel a lot of things, and that's just life. But working towards peace and aiming for that to be our goal majority of the time. Staying calm through whatever storms may come our way. It's a super powerful thing, man. And life is hard. Life is hard. People really do, they die of stress. That's a real thing, you know what I mean? So like, just be aware of that, you know what I mean? Because your mental state is going to affect your entire life. It all begins right here. This is where source is, and this is where you are essentially you. This is where everything begins, you know what I mean? So you can't change the world unless you start here and work on yourself. Number one, though, is just simply meditation. If you're not really familiar with meditation or somewhat opposed to it, just being still, or even prayer. Moments of silence are just so powerful, because it truly just give you a chance to breathe and relax and think, or really just be at one with what's all around you. It can be hard at times, especially in the beginning when you're trying to meditate, because you'll find that your mind can ramble, and things just move a million hours per hour. I struggle with that myself. I feel like at times, I can just be thinking about life. There's a lot going on, and that's okay. With anything, practice. Sorry, storage space actually went off. But again, meditation, stillness, this is a practice that you can get better with time. So it'll be easier in, who knows, a week, 2, possibly even shorter, depending on how much you want to really go at it. Number 2, nature and sunlight. Just simply being out there and getting in tune with that. Being around the trees, the animals, the organisms, the bugs, the sunlight, absorbing that and letting that charge you up, because plants die, without the sun. This earth would not thrive without the sun. So you need the sun in order to be truly healthy. However you can get out there and get some. I know, having a busy work schedule, a lot of work schedules go literally throughout the middle of the day. Squeeze it in where you can. Maybe you gotta wake up a little earlier. Maybe you gotta get on the weekends. I don't know, but it depends on your own schedule. But it's something that you definitely want to work out. You just feel so much better being outside, being in the nature, in the sun, and it dramatically increases your mood, your just overall well-being. Lastly, though, number 3, we just got movement and exercise. So moving your body, especially if you work a job where you're not moving, or even if you're at school, you're at a desk all the time, finding some time to get out there, or even just go to the gym if you're inside, doing things that will get you moving. It could be working out, or it could be sports, it could be yoga. There's so many different ways, don't necessarily tie yourself down to one, but our bodies crave it, they really do. So even if it's like a stressful or workout per se, a lot of people that can kind of like stop them, because you got the sweat going, you're out of breath. It's a skill though, and you can get better. Your body can get better at breathing, it can get stronger, it can get faster, but don't necessarily worry about that aspect, because a lot of times you'll realize after you did that activity you feel better. So it's one of those things where, like, it may be tough at the forefront, but afterwards you're like, man, I like that a lot. Some foods are like that. Some foods may not taste the best, that are the healthier option, but you'll realize they make you feel good. And some of the foods that that do taste really good, but aren't the healthiest option, tend to make you feel bad afterwards. So movement and exercise is one of those things where you're gonna reap super benefits. So that's all I got, y'all, for the video. Find your inner peace where you can. Like I said, it's not gonna be something that you'll have 24/7, and that's all right. This is the human experience. This is what we got going on, and you'll find that the more inner peace you can retain, the better you'll feel, the stronger you are. And at the end of the day, we all just want to be our best self. So y'all keep doing your best, keep grinding, keep finding your balance, and I'll see you in the next video. Peace.